Here we go. We're live. I think we're live anyway. This is James speaking. You're watching another live webcast from trainingsites.io. I'm going to be covering some neat stuff tonight. Well, usually I do these in the afternoon, but I was at the dentist today, so not this afternoon. I would have had frozen mouth, wouldn't have went well. So we're going to do it late. We're doing it tonight, or I'm doing it tonight. Again, if you have any questions, make sure to put them in the comments below or in the chat if you're watching this live. I'm going to cover a couple things today. Again, these are live sessions. I want to cover a couple lessons that I picked up when I was kind of looking over this whole year, what we've done and where we're going, things things we were focused on or should have focused on. So I want to take some time and spend some time on that. The other thing is I want to take a look. We get asked a bunch of questions all the time, and we'll often get questions about, what we should be doing, or what should I use, or what tool should I use, or what's the best way to do something, or I'm using this, how do I hook it up to that? A lot of connections. So I want to spend some time kind of going over all of the different pieces of a training site, what you need in terms of WordPress plugins, tools, services, everything you need to create your own training site. And the other thing I want to talk about is actually training sites, and if you should even build a campus, because that's what we do, is we build campuses, training sites. We have a blueprint or a campus blueprint that we use, but the blueprint is flexible. So it's about where you're at as a customer or a teacher, an educator, someone got an education business, or that you need to train your staff or employees, and how your business is kind of set up, and then what's the best tools and best way to deliver that content, and making sure that you identify what content is you're actually delivering to people. So I want to spend a little bit of time with that today, and if we can, hopefully I'll answer some questions and put some links below to some other resources if you want to find out more. But here's kind of the first story I want to talk about, and this is absolutely. I was watching another YouTube video. I think it was earlier today, and someone mentioned something. I forget the website. It was a way back website, I think it's called. Maybe I'll try and bring it up here in a bit, but it was way back website. And what it is, it's an archive of past websites. So I got playing around. I was looking and just seeing, some of my old sites. When were they from? What were we doing then? What were the kind of sites that we have? How were we using them? What was the messaging on them? What did they look like? What were the domain names that we had or we were using? And I was looking back at them, and it was interesting because a lot of them were, specific kinds of sites, like a sales page as opposed to a blog or a website. And a lot of them had a structure that was kind of fun because I recognized the structure as something is still in use today. And that's kind of the big lesson that I got from this way back websites. And again, I can't remember the domain. I'll bring it up here. I'll try and bring it up in a minute. But when I was looking at that, I was thinking, well, what else was I doing at that time when we first started? What were we doing in 2001, 2002, 2003 when we were creating these websites and we were selling ebooks online, multimedia ebooks, selling those online. Again, kind of cutting edge stuff at the time. But what were we doing? How were we selling them? What was the process? And there's one or two things that kind of came up, and I want to touch on one because it's probably the biggest mistake I made when I look back at this 2001, 2000, all of those years. In fact, all the way from 2001 till today. So 22 years of mistake. The biggest mistake I made, I'm going to share it with you right now. It's newsletters. It's absolutely newsletters. The one thing that I'm kicking myself now, and I will continue to kick myself, I think, forever and ever, is newsletters. I did not build my newsletter consistently. I remember early 2000s, we had, I think at the time we had 25,000 people on the newsletter. And I don't even have close to that on our newsletter right now. And I just think if I had stayed consistent, if I had recognized and spent the time focusing on not only building the newsletter and the subscriber list, but the relationship with the people on that newsletter, I would be in a fundamentally different place today than I am just because of the newsletter. If there was anything that I could invest in or go back and do again when it comes to internet marketing, it is the newsletter. I would have guarded that with my life, and not just the subscribers or the emails. That's one thing that's important, but it's a relationship with people. And the ability to have a connection for someone over 20 years, that is a valuable, valuable thing in terms of a business relationship, a personal relationship, but also in an income relationship. And you can build a whole business around a newsletter and an engaged list. You don't even need a website. And in fact, there's some people now that are going back to this. You'll find sites, for example, like Beehive, which is a software as a service for newsletter management with some neat tools in it. Some people are not spending as much time or focusing on content marketing on a website, doing blogging on a website, doing webinars and all of these other things. They're focusing on collecting, organizing, and archiving information that is important for the market or the niche that they're serving. So if I could go back and I take a look at it and say, you know, what would happen 20 years ago? What would I have done 20 years ago? What would have made a big difference? Let's go back to this one. Would have made a big difference? It would have been if I had not only kept my focus on my newsletter, but keep focused on that one original niche, that one place that is really, really important. And I think if you know, we had done that, or I had done that properly, again, would have completely changed the business. And the thing is, if you look back, am I in the exact same business that I was before? Yeah, pretty close, pretty close. You know, I started off talking about blogging for small business, blogging secrets. We're not in blogging necessarily per se. I'm just checking some stuff on the side here, so bear with me. You know, it's still similar in terms of marketing and online marketing. We're still doing that right now. There we go, just make sure I have some sound. I always double check, look at a live feed when we're doing these now, because I often forget, oh, did I turn the microphone on? Yes, I did, and it's working, so that's good. But the thing is, we're still kind of in the same market. We're more about courses and building training sites and marketing those courses and training sites. Whereas in the past, we weren't marketing membership sites at the start. We actually were building them. Not training sites, but membership sites, and selling multimedia content about blogging and small business. So it was similar. And those customers, that newsletter, if I'd stayed focused on that, it would have been an absolutely different business or different position that I'm in. And at the end of the day, if I look back at it, and with the two things that are a big focus, when we were starting, the big thing was an email list and email. That was really the only outbound way we had to connect to people, other than them finding us either through search or paid ads at the time. So it was, you know, you pick up the phone, old school, or you have some kind of way to capture an email, buy an email list, and start a newsletter or something on a regular basis to interact with people on an outbound thing. So, you know, that's how we started. Today, with social media, a lot of people have kind of forgotten a little bit about, or not focused as much on the newsletter, and are focused on, groups that they're a part of, Facebook, building out, followers on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube Shorts and all of these other outbound areas. They focus on that part of following and building a list. And they forget a little bit about the actual email address and having a physical email address from people, so that you can connect with them on a regular basis when you want to, not just publishing something on one of the social media platforms and then kind of going, okay, great, am I going to be able to have them see me today? So really, really big focus, I think, is coming back to emails, and that's the mistake I made. I lost focus of it, and I'm kicking myself for it, because it would have made things dramatically different. Let me just go, I'm going to go here. Let's go take a look, and I'm going to see if we can, pick this up. I'm going to pick up a page here, see if we can, I want to go take a look at it actually, because it's kind of a, let me just open up another tab on my screen here. Wayback Machine. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. Where's the Wayback Machine? the one here. I don't know if it's this one here, so I probably should have spelt it correctly. Let me try this again here, sorry. There, we get a better one there. Wayback Machine, archive.org. Is it that one? Maybe it is using that one. Let's see if we'll open it up. Is it the Internet Archive? There we go. Let's try this one here. So if I put in, let's say, for example, we had one of the sites we did was blogging secrets. Oh, let's try com. So I'm going to take up blogging secrets. That was one, 2003 we started. I still have the domain. It's forwarded to some other sites. But if you, take a look at it, 2005, you take a look at it, you're going to see that that site is, if we can open it up, there we go. There's the Blogging Secrets website from 2003. And this one was the actual website. And you can see that it was a sales page, a strict sales page. We had the 52 secrets. My mom never told me about internet marketing was there. And then this was the Blogging for Profit or Blogging Secrets website. And this one was claim your free copy. It looks like I was giving it away at the time. Download link for jam-packed 60-page PDF, internet access first 3 minutes. So I was giving away the book and some of the videos with it. Had some social proof right at the start. So that's just an example of some of the sites, and we were looking at right at the start, what was in there? It was, I want to make sure that I have an email address. How do I get an email address? We were giving away the ebook with the videos locked inside of it at the time. Here's another one. Here's the actual sales page. You can see that there's a pop-up. We're doing a free account. Again, this was a way to build the list, get people part of the list, start collecting them. This is a sales page, old school sales page. And part of the thing that you see on these sales pages, this one's from 2003. If you go to any of the sales pages that you're looking at that are selling a digital product or a product, they probably follow the exact same strategy. Where you're going to have some big fat claim, a little bit of an introduction, why it's important, the problem. So this is the problem, agitate, solution. And then tell people what they're going to get. A little bit of a personal story. Then we've got social proof, testimonials from people. Personal story in here, frustrating, what can you expect? And then what do they get? What's covered, what's not covered. And then, hey, you've got all of these benefits that you're going to get if you buy the book. And then what do I need to get started? At the end of the day, you're going to have to click here for instant access. So same strategy today that was being used 20 years ago. The pages look different. These ones are text heavy. But if you go to most of the sales pages, whether it be an ebook or a course or any of the products or services that are unbranded, you're going to see this same kind of strategy where it's, problem, agitate, solution, features, benefits, FAQs, social proof, all of the same thing that's there. And right at the top, you saw that we had the opt-in was, hey, give me your email. Give me your email. I want to have your email. And that on-exit pop-up or a joining pop-up, a huge, huge, huge benefit for people because it was just that. It was the opportunity for people to be able to go out and market to them later. So huge mistake I made. I'm kicking myself. It's one of the things that I wish I had not done. And in fact, that's the mistake that I made. That worst thing. Arg. I want to hit myself on that one. So what else we got here? So what are we going to do? Let's go back and I want to go back to, get rid of this one here. There's a picture-in-picture. I'm playing around with Ecamm Live or other tool here for doing these, and we'll go back to the live feed. So that's on. Yeah, so Newsletter, if you're not building your newsletter, please take a look at it again. Your newsletter is gold, and it always will be gold. Doesn't matter if you're just starting out or if you've been online a while. Take a look at your customer list, your existing customer list. Take a look at your business assets that you have, any of the things that you're doing external, and just say, how can I integrate the capture of an email address into all the social media marketing that I'm doing, into all of the outbound marketing that I'm doing? How can I capture an email address? Because once you do that, you're in a position to market people when you want, not when they happen to find you or happen to see you as you're trying to grab attention on all of these other social media platforms. The other tool there, I'll actually do a video on this in the trainingsites.io. I'll do one. There actually is a tool now called Beehive, and it is a software as a service. It's a tool specifically designed for helping people do a regular, recurring newsletter that is not just a set email about doing something. It is a way to organize and archive or collect information and present it to your newsletter subscribers, that information on a regular basis in a regular format. And it includes multiple stories, recommendations, links to other products and services, ads, all sorts of stuff. And what Beehive does a really good job of, if it allows you to monetize your newsletter right within the newsletter. When we were doing newsletters at the start, what was required was that we had to actually go and when we had the newsletter, we would write something in the newsletter and have to write it out as text, and it tended to be one long kind of blurb. There wasn't the facility for doing fancy looking emails that looked good in a mobile device because we didn't have them at the time, but it was like a text only email. It was only a focus on text and not sections of text and graphics and links and images, ads being inserted, variables being inserted into the emails that went out. It was kind of, you wrote one message, it went out. What Beehive makes it easy to do is collect your stories, collect the information from your niche and from your market. And you are not the only one that's responsible for the content creating it. It gives you the ability to amalgamate and collect it so that you can present it to your customers who want to learn from you and your ability to collect and keep all of this stuff together. So that's a real benefit with Beehive. The thing that they've done as well that I really like is they've got a way for you to place ads automatically within the actual newsletters without having to necessarily go out. They do some revenue sharing things. They do sharing with other newsletter subscribers to refer each other's newsletters. So it is a system to put it for being a newsletter specific part of your business. Now, Beehive isn't for everyone. If you're a business, you have enough content of your own, you have all sorts of products and services that you just want to keep it all in-house, you're certainly welcome to do that. Beehive isn't for you, but you can probably learn from what they're doing on how you approach what you're doing to your own customer base or your own email list. So I'll put the link below, and I'll have a course or a little bit of a tutorial on Beehive in trainingsites.io. So if you haven't gone there to check it out, go and register at the site. There's a whole bunch of free courses available for you to become part of our community. And I'll make sure that the Beehive course is open as one that you get access to as a free member. So that was the kind of first thing. Your newsletter is still important. Focus on it. Take some time on it. And over this next couple months at the end of the year, when you're thinking about next year, what are the goals for your newsletter? How many subscribers do you want? What kind of content are you going to put out? How are you going to monetize it? How's it going to fit into the rest of your business? Is it something that I should spend time on in terms of doing outbound messaging? Is it really, really important to me in the way that I'm set up? I'm betting it is, but take some time with it, please, and don't kick yourself like I am after 20 years of losing sight of it and not having the same amount of subscribers. I have no idea where they are now, but not having them, vitally, vitally important. And I think that brings me up to the second point here, which is kind of interesting. If I think about the other thing that's happened since 2003 or whenever we got started actually with the sites is, well, let me tell you a story. when we first started taking payments, like that site we were just looking at, when we first started taking payments, we didn't have online transactions. We had a button on it, and what the button was, it was like call, call or send a check here, or call and we'll take a phone call. If you order on the line, phone this number, we'll take a phone call and we'll manually do a credit card transaction. There was no online credit transactions. And in fact, I remember when we first started out, to get a merchant account here in Canada, it was $12,000 or $13,000 to get a merchant account to be able to take payments online. And that was being able to take payments online with the physical device and the physical card. It was really, really hard. So we had no way to take payments. And PayPal came around at the time, and that was kind of the first real way to take payments, was with PayPal. And you had a PayPal button on. And of course, someone wanted to buy something. They clicked the button. They were brought to the PayPal site. They did a transaction on the PayPal site, and then PayPal sent information back and the customer back if it was successful. And if it wasn't, there was a whole bunch of stuff that happened. But you were sending someone away somewhere else to take payments, and then they were hopefully coming back with an approval and adding money to your PayPal account. And then you could do withdrawals on your PayPal account. When it first started, the other person had to have a PayPal account. They couldn't use their credit card. They had to use their PayPal balance or their PayPal account, sign into PayPal at my end, do the transaction. PayPal would transfer money from their PayPal account to our PayPal account. That was how it first started. Then PayPal allowed for credit cards, which was a little bit better, but it was still out of our hands, right? We had to pay a button, a buy now button, and it was going somewhere else. Transaction was kind of out of the way. All sorts of opportunities for friction and stuff to not happen well. And we were really excited because there was another service called ClickBank. And ClickBank was a way to take credit cards. They took a small percentage of the credit card transaction, but you just had a form on your page, and they filled in their credit card details, and hey, money went to ClickBank. ClickBank paid our account, our bank account. ClickBank kept a couple percent, and it was really easy at the time because there was no friction, right? They were on the site, they filled in the form on the site, happened in the background, they were still on our site, we got money, they paid money, and we were able to say, hey, they paid successfully, give them the ebook or send them the login details. But it was a much better system for taking payments, a little more control, less friction, but it was still stuff that was done outside with other people. And ClickBank had some issues. They weren't great at selling anything that wasn't a digital product. So if you were selling services, and at the time you wanted to do recurring payments, they didn't handle subscriptions at the start. If you're doing something that required shipping, let's say you had a service and a product, there wasn't a way to do shipping. So there were some limitations there, and they had to use PayPal to use those transactions for something like that. Digital copies were on ClickBank, and there was like 2 places there. So that was okay, and we were using that for a while. And then after you get going, you go, oh man, wouldn't it be great if I had 10 products that were digital products? I had 5 services. I had 10 products that I needed to be able to ship something. And, I had a catalog of other people's products and services that I have the rights to sell. So at that time, we're going, man, I need a shopping cart. And there wasn't WooCommerce or any shopping carts for WordPress at the time. And actually 2003, I don't think WordPress was out then. We were building sites with Dreamweaver and FrontPage and a whole bunch of other tools. There weren't really shopping carts available. But at the time, there was one that came out, and it was another service called QuickPay Pro. And QuickPay Pro was a third-party software as a service at the time, but it was a shopping cart, and it was also a way to take payments, have catalogs, do subscriptions, send out emails. It was like an all-in-one holy grail that people would, you'd be able to run your business on. And in fact, a lot of people did start using QuickPay Pro and move their business to it. So if you think about that, you've got pages on PayPal, you've got pages on ClickBank, then this new one comes along called QuickPay Pro, and you're going, oh man, I got to go and change everything and move everything over there again. So it was a whole bunch of work. And if you did happen to have a subscription, for example, on PayPal, if you're doing a membership site with a monthly subscription, this point we were taking a payment for digital products on ClickBank. We might have had a subscription on PayPal, and then now we're adding QuickPay Pro, and we have to change our websites, put all different links to QuickPay Pro to have them purchase. All sorts of stuff was there, but it was just another step. It was easier for us to run our business, but from the back end, there was more friction and more work at the back end. And if I look at this over a period of years, it's like PayPal account, you have for, we still have it and still use it in very limited circumstances, but you have that running successful on your website for a year or two. And then ClickBank comes along. ClickBank was great. You run that for 2 or 3 years. You got all sorts of money transactions coming in. Your business is running on that. And then all of a sudden you go, well, I have physical products I want to sell. And you go, oh crap, my cart won't handle that. So then you got to go and try and find something else. So just think about this in the back of your mind from your revenue and your business perspective. You've got 3 different systems right now that are independent of each other, and you've got customers in each of these systems, and you've got money coming in from different places at different times, and the links to generate new sales and stuff are being moved to new systems every time. And QuickPay Pro was great. It was really, really great, except until they went out of business after about 2 years for whatever reason. So they kind of went away, and all of our websites, all of our subscriptions, everything was absolutely stuck because QuickPay Pro disappeared. So what came up? Another service called One Shopping Cart at the time. And One Shopping Cart was like a more advanced version of QuickPay Pro. Did all of the same things, but it also did email marketing and some email marketing automation. And it was a bit of a, I guess you could almost say like a customer relationship management, the starts of it, where you could keep more details on a customer in the One Shopping Cart system. Again, this wasn't on our website. It was a separate way you had to log in. And a lot of the companies, a lot of people put it in, and they did just that. They took all of the stuff they had on their websites and they moved everyone over to One Shopping Cart. And One Shopping Cart it's still around if I'm not mistaken. However, they had some troubles after a couple years, and they weren't able to do some of the things that some of the newer systems that came along. One of them was called Infusionsoft, which was kind of a really expensive One Shopping Cart with more of a CRM and more really, really, really complex ability to do customer journeys or buyer paths through all sorts of different upsells and downsells, which One Shopping Cart couldn't do. So it was a great replacement for One Shopping Cart, very expensive and very hard to use. So if you look back again, we had physical payments, PayPal, ClickBank, QuickPay Pro, One Shopping Cart, and then Infusionsoft was the best thing since sliced bread. And of course, what happened with Infusionsoft is it's now Keep, and it's still in some respects called Confusionsoft. It's not easy to use. And in fact, there's a whole industry around people servicing or having fun, setting up and using, setting up Infusionsoft or Keep for people and their businesses to getting it to work. So 5 or 6 different systems, moving people from place to place to place to place. And in the meantime, here's my big story on that. If I look back and I take a look at all of the things that are kind of consistent there, the one thing is that the transactions and the shopping carts were all external to my website. So if it's PayPal, the transaction was at the PayPal site. If I was using ClickBank, I could embed the form, but the transaction and all of the details for the customer were on the ClickBank site. If I was using QuickPay Pro, they'd have to fill in information that went to QuickPay Pro, whether they paid or not paid, whether they had details on additional fields, whether they be billing or shipping fields, purchases, past purchases, that was on QuickPay Pro. Same thing on One Shopping Cart, same thing on Infusionsoft or Keep. Any of the systems, the new ones you see today, like Thrive Themes or Thrive Cart is another one that's available now that's pretty popular. all of these billing systems are external to the WordPress site that we're using. So all of them are external. And if that means they're external, it also means our most valuable asset, which in this case is the email address, the contact details, the transaction history, and the ability to capture additional transactions when we want to. That is all on someone else's site, someone else's service. And the big lesson here is it's going to change every 2 or 3 years. Something's going to happen to these softwares as a service. Something's going to be newer and better that does something differently that you want to do. And there's always a change, and there's a huge cost to you running your business on organizing, where am I going to keep my customers? Where do I want to keep my transactions? Where is the home for my important asset, my customers? I have a newsletter. I want to make sure the newsletter in my case is I have the newsletter email addresses. I would much rather send it from my internal systems than have all of my newsletter details out at Beehive. You can still do that. If you don't have other businesses, you just want to do a newsletter, I think Beehive's a great solution. But if you have a complex business with multiple sites, multiple products, multiple services, my bet is on keeping everything inside. So that digital asset, your customers and that relationship and all of their information, I want to keep that in my own shopping cart. And where does that bring us to? Well, of course, it's WooCommerce. And WooCommerce is the default plugin shopping cart for WordPress sites. So I recommend highly that if you are going to do anything with transactions online, you're going to look at WooCommerce as the built-in shopping cart that you keep in your WordPress site, where you own all of the data, you own all of the information on your customers, and you have complete control over that relationship, irrespective of what happens to these external third-party services. I think it's just too valuable. Again, my personal opinion. And this is where it's interesting when we go and we talk to all of the businesses that are doing things on their site, because if you think about it, they may have invested in another shopping cart. They may still be invested in Keep or Thrivecart or some of the other tools. So what do? How do you hook that up to your training site, to your courses, your membership site? And that's where we help with trainingsites.io. If I start fresh, I would love to keep it all in-house. But hey, if you're not starting fresh and you've got investments in other areas, we've got the tools to try and get them together as best as possible. All I'm saying is that if you start somewhere like that and you are using external tools, at some point something's going to change and you're going to have to move it to another external tool or bring it in. Now, there's one thing I haven't talked about here, and that's kind of and this is something a lot of people don't get. When you are doing e-commerce online, let's say you've got one shopping cart or Shopify, for example, or any of these, even WooCommerce, for example, or Thrivecart, or any of these other ones where they have a purchase online, there's two pieces to it. One is the actual shopping cart that organizes and manages the transactions and collects the information, the products, the services, but it always has to talk to a payment gateway. And it says, look, I want to charge this customer with this credit card, these details, I want to charge them this amount of money. And all of these shopping carts, whether it's a software as a service and or a product on your WordPress site, it is going to go and it's going to send that information to a payment gateway. And the payment gateway is going to process the transaction. It actually does the transaction with the credit card. And then it says, hey, yeah, they paid successfully. And they say, I'm going to put this money in your bank account with us, the payment gateway, and I'm going to send the information back to your website to let the shopping cart know that, hey, that person paid successfully, so that your shopping cart knows to say, hey, that person is a valid customer, let them have this product, ship this product to them, whatever it happens to be that they purchased, whether it's a digital product, physical product, membership, subscription, what have you. But there's two things. There's the shopping cart and the payment gateway. The default payment gateway now is Stripe. So if you're unfamiliar with Stripe, go take a look at stripe.com. I don't know what the percentage is, but they are by far the largest majority of transactions. Think of it as an online bank. It isn't an online bank, but think of it as a bank. It's just a place where they run the credit cards, and instead of keeping your money, what they do is they keep a tiny portion of it and then they deposit the balance into your bank account. So that's a payment gateway. They do the transactions. The shopping cart on your website is where it keeps all the information about the customer, what they purchased, what they're entitled to, what they're not entitled to. That's the shopping cart. So there's two pieces. Stripe you're always going to have, unless you're a bank yourself. But you're going to have a payment gateway. The one online is Stripe, and I wouldn't be surprised if they have 80%. I don't even know what the stat is. It'd probably be a good idea sometime to look it up. But I wouldn't be surprised if they have 80% of the transactions are going through the Stripe gateway online for e-commerce transactions. Some of the other kind of ways to take payments online, they may have their own kind of banking system. I'll give you an example. One is QuickBooks, the accounting software. If I'm not mistaken, they have their own way internally. They have their own gateway that works exactly the same as Stripe, but it's the QuickBooks one, and it only works with the QuickBooks software. So you can only use it if you're using QuickBooks. So that's, they've closed that system. It's not an open one for the gateway. You have to use both the shopping cart, QuickBooks, and their payment system or gateway. It's got to be both on QuickBooks. So we got a shopping cart is external. The payment gateway is going to have to be external. But that shopping cart, I'm going to suggest you try and use WooCommerce if you can. Or the other question is, do I need WooCommerce, or is there another kind of way that I can take transactions other than having a full shopping cart? Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that we do in the Campus Blueprint is we take a look and say, okay, what's your business model? Is your business model selling products and services, physical, digital? Are you selling multiple products and services? Are you selling multiple membership levels? Do you have to sell bulk memberships, or are they all one-off memberships? So you may need one kind of shopping cart for complex ones like WooCommerce. On the other hand, you may have a business that only sells memberships. It's like you're paid and you get in, or you're not paid and you don't get in. So there's other WordPress plugins that act as a way to manage access like a shopping cart would. MemberPress is an example, which is designed specifically to handle memberships on WordPress. That works with Stripe. You can use, for example, LearnDash or Lifter LMS, which are the plugins for courses. They have the ability to take payments or recurring payments with Stripe. So you don't need a shopping cart if you have an investment or a type of business that only has a limited type of transaction that you need. So in the Campus Blueprint, we go through all of these because there's your different business model will give you a requirement for a different set of WordPress tools. But at the end of the day, any one of those ones that I talked about, it's a WordPress plugin. Whether the WordPress plugin is WooCommerce, whether it's LMS like LearnDash or Lifter, or any of the other WordPress plugins, whether it's MemberPress just taking single payments or recurring payments or multiple levels, but for memberships, where that's really good, that's on your website. It does the transactions on Stripe, but it's on your website. You have the customer data, you have everything that's there. It's working, you're in control of it. Your asset, you control it. So that's a really, really important thing, your newsletter, but also understanding if you're not careful and you rely on software as a service or external parts to your business model, at some point you're going to run into a situation where you go, oh man, I really, really, really need to have this under my own control because I don't want to have to change it again. And I think the other thing I'm just going to mention this time, and this is really important when I take a look at the times we're in right now, is things are happening so quickly. It's really easy to get drawn to the latest and greatest software as a service, the latest and greatest different thing that happens that we see. And an example of that is the shopping carts. It's like everyone is using ClickBank, and then everyone went, oh, we need a shopping cart, and everyone started talking about QuickPay Pro. So everyone ditched ClickBank and went to QuickPay Pro. There's a couple things that people didn't like about QuickPay Pro, so there was another one, and everyone went there, and it's like a ladder, right? You're stepping up, going back and forth between them, and it can get really, really frustrating when you're doing this, trying to keep up with whoever is doing what. So just stay focused on what it is that you're doing, And I know we probably should have done that earlier because I did the hopping. So now everything is in-house and it will always be in-house. That's where we're going to keep it. You know, that one thing too that I just remembered it while I'm talking here is when you get into your business, I'm talking about, you know, having a website. Some businesses, especially when you're doing you're entrepreneurial and you're an online marketer, a content marketer, you're going to have multiple websites. And having multiple websites and multiple services on multiple domains with multiple customer lists and multiple people, you want to make sure that you're in a position again where you have control over each of those. And you're not putting one over on one system, another business or part of your business over on another system. So you got to really, really think hard about what's the best way to structure this, not in the short term, but look at the medium term and the long term and just think about that. And think about how can I really fit this in and have it make sense as well. So I'm going to show you something. I'll just show you kind of what, one of the things that we kind of focus on here. And this is actually just a list that I had made up for a customer that was building a community only. And that was the other thing that's kind of interesting when you look at these things, is this whole idea of a community. Like, we call it a campus. And a campus, there's a lot of people that sell courses now, and they have a course site or a website that sells courses. There are other people that have a business selling memberships or subscription memberships with access to a site or areas of a site or a course or courses, but it's a subscription payment. So you may have individual courses, subscription courses. You may have a membership which allows people to log in and be involved on the site when they're logged in. They don't get access to stuff if they're not logged in. So that's kind of the first level of businesses that we run into with training sites. Is it just a course? I'll give you an example of that right now. If you have a WordPress site and you install the LearnDash plugin, which is the eLearning, the LMS plugin, the learning management plugin that manages your courses, it allows you to take payments, and it allows you to have people access the one course that they purchased. You have 30 courses, you can let people access one course. They go to the course, they log in, they see the course, they log out, that's it. But that's all they see. They see the course, that's it. When you get to a membership site allows people in many cases to do more than access the course. You can allow or disallow access to other parts or assets on your website. So if you get things, for example, like premium blog posts, if you add additional things like a discussion forum, or there's a download section where you provide additional assets to people or additional things. So that's the kind of place you may find on a membership site. So there's a set of tools for just selling a course. There's a set of tools for just selling a membership. And after that, what's happening is you get to the point where people are going, well, I want to have, I've got a Facebook group, or I want to have some interaction with my members. And I guess the same thing we were talking about. The next kind of step for this is, how do I get what's a community? How do I get it so that there can be a directory of members? Members can message each other. Members can ask questions and answers with each other. Members can be involved and see activity feeds. You can send them to Facebook, where again, they're out of your control, or some people put them into a community site. In this example, this is kind of the pieces that we put together, the tools, and I'll let you have the download of the multiple maps that we have. I'll put it down in the comments below, or I'll put it in trainingsites.io. If you get a chance, just log in as a free member, and this will be in the assets there. But these particular ones, like if you look at it, community stack, that's kind of the courses, membership, community, and then communities. If you're just doing a community site, you don't have to sell courses. And in case this one, they didn't want to sell courses, they just wanted to have a community portion. So, what are the things that you need for community, whether it's the main WordPress ones, some community plugins, and then additional pieces for communities, and you can have a paid community. You can see we put WooCommerce in here to manage the orders, the Stripe payment gateway, subscriptions on monthly orders. So there's some additional required plugins, and in this one, some suggested ones. So there's a set of tools for a community, and then the next thing after community is a campus, is what we call as a campus. Is a campus has courses, memberships, community, blended learning, and that means that you can have live learning and digital learning. So live online learning like events, classes, Zoom calls, online trainings, cohorts, all of these things that are in and around learning. That's what we call a campus and a training site. So all I'm saying here is different kinds of business requirements require a different set of tools. And that's one of the nice things you got to think about is think, okay, well, what's my business today? What is it going to be in the future? What tools do I need today? What tools may I need in the future? And you want to try and make sure that you have the most flexibility as long as it's kept all in with on your WordPress site and all of the different pieces that are there. So that's kind of a community one, a stack, pretty straightforward. I'll go through these quickly. We've got WordFence for security. Links are here. Updraft for backups. Elementor, visual page builder is the one that I highly recommend. We've got anti-spam recaptcha, or I never pronounce that one correctly, but a way to stop spam registrations. There's another one that's kind of interesting too called Turnstile from Cloudflare, which I'm playing around with on some. And you may have seen this already. It's like when you go to visit a site, you have like a little check to see that you're human before it shows you the site, like a turnstile. So Cloudflare is a company that has that, and it blocks the spam before they get to the site, as opposed to blocking spam from doing something on the site. It blocks it before they even get to the site. So that was one that's kind of the main WordPress plugins that you want to put in. And again, also when you're doing any of these things with communities, you can't get by on basic shared hosting. It just doesn't happen. You're doing interactions with other people. You got a lot of stuff moving, a lot of moving pieces. It's not just showing someone a web page and then having it stop. There's all sorts of transactions in the website, whether that be showing pages, showing videos, replying to quizzes, answering quizzes, opening stuff, closing stuff. So you're going to need some managed hosting there and these basic tools with the WordPress site that you set up. The ones that we do for community, the ones that we use on a regular basis is BuddyBoss Pro Community Plugin and the BuddyBoss Pro Community Theme. These are paid themes, and again, all of the sites are build them. If you want to see one, go to trainingsites.io, our site. That one's built on BuddyBoss Pro and the BuddyBoss theme. Those ones are there as well. Community live messaging built in. Desktop notifications, because it's a live community site. Think of it as your own personal Facebook, but it's on your domain. You control the transactions. You have access to everything, not Facebook. Not Facebook. And if I listen to the biggest complaint that I get from customers who have been with Facebook, is that they grow a big Facebook community, but it's detached from their business. It's Facebook's community that you're just renting. It's not your community, it's a Facebook community. So you don't have direct control over that group of people. You can't show them what you want to show them when you want to show it to them. You can't email them specifically with certain offers, upsells, downsells, things that you have, because it is a group that Facebook owns. You can try and message them on the group, but you're not in real control of them. You can't export those. You can't introduce those or put those in another area or another website. You don't have control of those. So, think of this base community setup here that I'm talking about. That is your own Facebook that is set up. And that's what BuddyBoss does. And a training site requires that. So if you're going to do a community and you want to sell courses, you're going to need your own base BuddyBoss setup. And that's what we do at trainingsites.io. And then if you're going to sell courses, these are the ones I was talking about. So we've got Fusion for connecting things. It's another plugin that allows you to give access to users based on different roles, which gives you real finite control over who sees what. based on what they purchased, the WooCommerce shopping cart. There's the Stripe payment gateway, a little plugin for WooCommerce for subscriptions. And then we have the events calendar. Remember I talked about blended learning and live calls and calendars? There it is. This can all be hooked up to the courses in the community calendar, all tied together. And we've got a couple other tools from Fluent. One is the Fluent Forms for creating forms, surveys, all sorts of stuff to collect more information on your site, and a help desk that's built in on your site. Not someone else's software, it's on your site to get started. And again, some other pieces. So why am I showing you this? Well, the thing is that on all of these systems that we try and build out, we try and keep it in-house. However, depending on your business model and where you're doing things with other sites, other parts of your business, you may have to try and bring them in together, and it can be done. I'm just going to bet over the long term you're going to want to keep it inside and keep control of it. And that would be the optimum, is to control your most important asset, your digital asset, and that's your customer. And that newsletter and email address was absolutely the start for me, and I'm kicking myself now that I forgot it. So if there are any questions, I've been talking here. I get going on these things for 58 minutes, and I put down, I think I put down 3 points just on a piece of paper that I wanted to talk about. So I got 58 minutes out of this. What am I going to do with this right now? So we'll put it up on our site. I'm going to use some AI tools to chop it up, make some shorts from it. Might even chop some of it up to make some courses from it. But try and capture digital exhaust, which what this was, and we're going to be able to use it in other different places and repurpose it in other different places. And it's funny I mentioned that I wrote 3 pieces, three little notes down, 3 bullet points there. This book, let me just see if I got a page here. Yeah. So this was a book, and I found this actually when I was just cleaning up a whole bunch of empty boxes. I found this book and I was taking a look at it, and I tend to write down notes all the time. I scribble stuff. You know, if I go through this and there's like all sorts of weird scribbles, and I take all sorts of notes, but they're not, I have awful penmanship. I take them down now in tools that we use to manage our business. But I was looking through this, and I was looking through some of it, and some of the things I was looking at, I was going, when did I write this? And I was looking at it, a lot of these notes were from 7 or 8 years ago. And if I look at some of the stuff that I was talking about 7 or 8 years ago, guess what? It's the exact same stuff today. It's how to do lead capture, how to build an email list, opt-ins, sales pages, all of the same things that we're talking about, creating digital products, structuring online courses, all of the steps and pieces that are involved, it's all identical, the same. So we got to, I think I'm going to stay focused, do my best to stay focused on not following the latest and greatest thing that we hear, but stay focused on fundamentals and simple fundamentals. We're building training sites. We're helping people sell and create online courses and build online communities and campuses. That's the business. Everything we do around that is, here's a campus blueprint. Here's a way to have this big campus. If you're starting from 0, we can get you to a campus. If you're starting at 0 and just want to sell courses, we can help you. If you want to be able to sell memberships, we can help you. If you just want a community, we can help you. If you want to create courses, we can help you. But it's all around training sites and these campuses and being able to teach online. So if that's of interest to you, obviously come to trainingsites.io. Come and sign up. It's free to join the site, be a member. And I will tell you one thing just at the end of this, it's interesting as well. I think there's something interesting happening with courses. And even though I'm talking about training sites, I'm not talking about course sites. There's a difference between selling courses and selling training. And that's the big change that's coming with online learning and e-learning and membership sites and course sites. I think there's a fundamental shift coming. I kind of mentioned this before. This whole thing with ChatGPT is blowing it right out of the water, and it's going to be happening fast. It's really, really exciting of what's happening. but it's going to make some fundamental changes in how people sell information. And in fact, I don't think you're going to be able to sell information anymore. You're going to have to be able to teach online and sell outcomes, not just regurgitate information. That's on for another time. So let's we'll wait on that one, and I'll talk about another one. So I want to thank you for your time today. 55 minutes. James Maduch, trainingsites.io. I hope you enjoyed this, found something of value. Take care, expect the best, and I'll see you again next time.